What's up, fellas? This video is for all my industrial construction workers out there who are looking for good information on what are the best tools. And I want to share with you today, from my experience, what I believe to be the best tape measure that you can buy. Now, of course, this is going to be based on what you're using it for, but what I want to do is share with you two features that every tape measure must have if you're a carpenter working with wood and nails. And I'm going to share with you one feature that a good tape must have to work well for anyone. The first thing you want to do when you go to buy the tape is look at the end of the tape to see whether or not it has a grip tooth. I don't know if I can get this to focus in. See that little cleft right there? That is a very important feature of this tape measure. Without that little bent end like that, this would not hook to anything. And I know that for a fact because some of their models do not have this cleft end. Because these are global parts assembled in America, this end was made in China and they did not put the cleft end on that. I attempted to bend it with my hammer to get it to work because this tape here slips off everything you hook it to. Literally. Like when you're far away trying to pull, because I bent it with my hammer, now it's working. But before, you couldn't get it to hook to nothing. This thing got ran over by a tractor, so it ain't rolling up. I drew a little picture here to show you what that little tooth is doing. It's basically causing a little claw mark where the tape won't want to couple upwards. Because the force on this tab is not balanced, a coupling is induced, which has a tendency to want to rotate your tape upward and bend it right here so that it flops up like this off of whatever you're hooked to. So this tooth helps dig into what you're hitting, and a good tape measure will have that. If you're a boiler maker or anything and you want your tape to hook onto metal, this thing can do it. That little tooth will grab that metal pretty good. I mean, I'm pulling really hard and I'm up at an angle, but that's not bad. Let me see if I can try this toothy now that I've bent it. Yeah, if you got that bend, it'll work. Now, the old style Stanley had their tapes designed like this, where they would just bend the entire tab, and they would compensate for that difference in the way the tape was arranged. This is an old one here. This thing here would slide that distance of that cleft so that you would get an accurate reading between butting and pulling. That's another reason why this here moves. There's a difference between when you butt your tape and pull your tape by a distance of that thickness. So they accommodate with that by making this move the way it does. Now, what is the next feature that every tape should have if a carpenter is going to be using that tape? That's this little hole right here. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, a lot of times when we're doing layout on walls, we will hook our tape to the end of a nail. Because what we'll do is we'll have a layout mark right here with an X ahead for trusses or whatever it may be, and we will hook our tape like that and proceed to lay out that wall. And I have bought a tape just last week that doesn't have that hole in it, and I didn't realize it, and I went to lay out a damn wall and I had to bust out one of my Fat Maxes, which are just a pain in the neck. If your tape does not retract within 4 hours, contact your vendor immediately. These all do it. It's like, why would you buy a tape that doesn't reel up? This one is my scaffold tape. So it's nice and lubricated up with mercury and arsenic powder and thallium. Who knows what? Radium. It's some pretty slick stuff apparently. So this one is dusty and dry. It's always inside of power plants. I'm gonna have to go wash my hands now before I touch anything, now that I've touched that thing. These are the ones that are going outside. You can see it's definitely been wet. You can tell I'm the real McCoy here. I'm not just trying to sell tape measures or knock anybody. So now that we discussed this, you may ask, well, what do you consider to be the best tape measure? I'm going to show you. It used to be this right here. This old model, believe it or not, has the most powerful recoil you can get. They've got a new model now that is just awesome. I definitely love the power of the recoil in this thing. No matter what, this thing is gonna roll up. And it's got a lot of power to it. So it's very quick. If you're a carpenter who's doing a lot of roof sheeting and you're just in a terrible hurry, you ain't got time to be shoving this thing back in every time. A lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. If you're laying out trusses and you've got a truss flying up your ass because a crane driver won't wait, you don't want a tape that doesn't roll up quick. There's a lot of times setting trusses where you don't have seconds to spare. This is the tape I buy, and I am a foreman level carpenter. I'm usually the foreman every job I end up on, and I am a foreman who leads by example, so I'm right up in there working. And I try to be the fastest worker that I can. And I look for tools that make my job quicker. That's why I have a $55 pair of Nipix pliers in my scaffold bag. You know, stuff like that. I'm always looking for the best. You know, and it's not just to be pretty, it's because I want stuff that works good. So if you want to know what's the best tape measure without wasting as much money as I have, these Stanleys that have that little cleft on the end and have that nail hole and have a good powerful recoil are better than these Fat Maxes. That 11-foot standout gimmick is not something that's needed by a skilled carpenter. We know how to get our tape measure where we want it. Standout's not the issue. However, I will say this. The Fat Max does have a value attribute of this upper clip, which allows you to hook from the bottom, which can become very important when you're doing soffits and steel studs and stuff like that. That's the one thing Fat Max has it going for them. Now, why in the hell they don't incorporate all of the best things? Actually, I take that back. Typically, their small model doesn't have that. I suppose that would be a third feature you'd want to look for in a tape. See, I ran my mouth, guys. The new version has actually incorporated the best of every tape. The good recoil. It's got the cleft end, and it has the upper connection. Sometimes you don't have the option of connecting up top, and you might be in an awkward position where you want to be able to read the tape in this direction rather than upside down, which is the only way you can hook it. So, yeah, I would consider that a third feature to be on the lookout for what would be considered the best tape. So just wanted to share that. These tape measures last me about a year. It is January 27th, 2018, and I work every day out there in the field, and I'm going to keep an eye on how long this tape lasts, and I'm going to update it, and we'll find out just how long one of these things can withstand me. I've bought tapes that didn't last a week, and I'm going to bring one of those on the updated video and show it to you.